For now, though, I think a lot of us, we've got the itch to travel. I know I do, especially with spring break coming up this coming week or the next couple of weeks, depending on the Valley District you're in. But whether it's a family vacation or maybe a business trip, there are still some things to remember so we can keep you healthy as we kind of enter this new phase of the pandemic. So the Director of COVID Treatment Centers, Dr. James Taylor, joining us now. Good morning. Great to see you. Thanks for being with us.
Good morning, Callie, and good morning, Arizona.
Good morning, Arizona. Okay, so Dr. Taylor, let's get right to it. I know everybody in my circle, we're ready to travel, we're ready to do things. Do you think all Americans are good to travel? And do you think we need to assess risks or anything like that?
Well, first of all, we all need a spring break from COVID. After all the stress we've been under for the last 2 years, isolating ourselves and being under constant stress can weaken our immune system and make us more susceptible to infection. So getting out and re-exploring the world is just what the doctor ordered. Now, let's be clear, the pandemic's not over and we're not out of the woods yet. And we need to continue to be diligent to protect ourselves. We've learned a lot over the last 2 years on, how to protect ourselves, and we should feel good about starting to move towards getting back to normal, but we still need to be smart about it.
Okay, well, Doc says we can travel, you just got to be smart. So one of the things, stock up on supplies. You still think we should be wearing masks? I know you have to on a plane.
Oh, absolutely. It's a very good way of protecting yourself, and there's other ways as well. I think when we start to think about, our vacations, this virus is spread mainly indoors and when we're in close proximity to one another. So we should encourage people when they start to plan for their spring break to consider outdoor venues, camping, hiking, going to the beach are some great ideas. These activities kind of encourage us to do more physical activity, which improves our general health, as well as getting more sunlight, which increases our vitamin D production. And we know that low vitamin D levels have been shown to be associated with the devastating consequences of COVID. So get enough vitamin D is important.
Yeah, it's always nice to be outside this time of the year. Okay, local restrictions. I know that Hawaii, for instance, if you're going to Hawaii in the next couple of weeks, they still have that safe travelers kind of system in place. Mexico or any international, you need a test coming back. So there are still some things you need to think in mind as you plan.
Oh, absolutely. And one of the things you may want to consider is calling the hotel that you're going to and asking what's going on locally. Their rules are different country by country, state by state, and locally. So they're a good resource of information on what you can expect on where you're going.
So worst case scenario, I know I'm planning a honeymoon, I'm going international, and I'm like, okay, hopefully we're good coming back, even if it's a mild COVID case, you've got to stay put. So walk me through what families need to be thinking if maybe they are going to be doing international, going to Mexico or something for spring break, because you still need that test to come back to the States.
Right. I think as we're all considering taking vacations and going out of the country, we need to take a risk assessment, of yourself and your family. Like I said, we're not out of this pandemic, and people are continuing to get this disease and die from these disease. So, those at high risk should be much more careful when deciding to venture out and being among crowds. Even when, officially the area is designated as low risk, people with underlying medical conditions need to be extra careful. And those individuals that are in low risk groups should feel better about being a little bit more venturesome. Now, we should also probably stock up on some essentials. There's a global pandemic going on, but there's also a global supply chain problem that is making access to products sometimes difficult. So before you leave, like you're saying, stock up on the essentials. If you don't feel like you have to plan and pack so many things like you're a pioneer crossing the Rockies in a covered wagon, but make sure you take all your medications that you may need, masks, hand sanitizer, chargers for your mobile devices.
Yeah, we need all that stuff.
Clothes in case your travel is disrupted.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Maybe pack a couple extra outfits so if you do have to stay put, you're not in the old stuff. Dr. James Taylor, we appreciate your time this morning. I think a lot of people excited to travel, so he provided us some good advice this morning. Thank you. Coming up, Home Depot Debbie has